welcome to Postgre Campus Vision. This is Danny Thomas, Research Scholar, University of Kerala. So in the last video, I have explained to you the first two steps in the methodology of econometrics. The first step was statement of theory or hypothesis, and the second step was specification of mathematical model to the theory. We used the Keynesian theory of consumption as an example to develop the theory, to develop the hypothesis as well as to specify the mathematical model. And the hypothesis developed was the consumption expenditure is expected to change in accordance with a per unit change in income, but not more than one. And the mathematical model specified was y is equal to beta 1 plus beta 2x. And if you haven't yet watched the video, do watch the video before continuing. So, in this video, I will be explaining to you the third and fourth step in the methodology of econometrics. The third step in methodology is specification of econometric model to the theory. As we are using the theory of consumption, we can say specification of econometric model to the theory of consumption. So, if you look into the need for having econometrics as a separate discipline, you can see that the mathematical equations developed by a mathematician will not be applicable directly to an economic data. So, an econometrician will have to make some modifications so as to make this equation, the mathematical equations, to be applicable to an economic data. So, the equation that we have developed earlier was, in the second step, was y is equal to beta 1 plus beta 2x. And as per this equation, the variables y and x, the variable y is a dependent variable and variable x is an independent variable. And as per our equation, the dependent variable y and the independent variable x does have an exact and a deterministic relationship. That means the changes happening to y can be completely or exactly defined by the independent variable x. So moving to our example. In our example, the theory of consumption, the dependent variable is the consumption expenditure and the independent variable is income. And as per our equation, the changes in consumption expenditure is caused entirely due to the income, which is not true, because the changes in consumption expenditure is also influenced by other factors like the number of family members, the income of the family, the religion of the family, etc. So, an econometrician must modify the mathematical equation in such a way that he will be able to consider these other factors that indirectly influence our dependent variable. So, in order to consider these factors, we can add another term to the mathematical equations that is known as the error term or the disturbance term, which can be represented with the subscript mu or epsilon. I will be using mu as a subscript for the time being, and this mu represents the error term which represents or which considers all those other factors that indirectly influence the consumption expenditure. So we can see that an error term defines the changes that happens to a dependent variable which cannot be explained by a mathematical model. Now, after introducing this error term, our econometric model will be y is equal to beta 1 plus beta 2x plus mu. And this is a classical example of a linear regression model which gives a linear relationship between the dependent variable y and independent variable x, which is not exact because there are other factors that influence the dependent variable. So that is how we convert the mathematical equation into an econometric model. Now, the fourth step in methodology is obtaining data. In order to make an economic analysis, we need an economic data. For example, in order to analyze the theory of consumption, in our example, the theory of consumption, the variables are consumption expenditure and income. So in order to make an analysis between the relationship between these two variables, we need data relating to the personal consumption expenditure as well as income of different years, so that we can establish a relationship between the two, and we will be also able to find out the parameters. So these are the third and fourth step of econometric methodology, and that's all for now, and we'll continue with the step in the coming videos. And until then, this is Danny Thomas signing off from Bosco Campus Vision.